Imagine a life where no insult can wound your heart, no loss can steal your peace, and no storm can shake your ground. A life where you walk through the noise of the world, yet remain as steady and unshakable as a mountain, calm, free, and unmovable. But for most of us, life feels different. We get pulled in every direction by fears, desires, and endless distractions. We cling tightly to what we push away, what we dislike, and end up stuck in a cycle of emotional highs and painful lows. Over 500 years ago, the Buddha revealed timeless truths that help us break free from this cycle. These are not distant philosophies meant only for monks in faraway temples. They are practical lessons, tools that anyone, anywhere can use to build an unshakable heart and mind. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." In this video, we'll explore 6 timeless Buddhist teachings that will help you develop inner strength so steady that nothing in life can break you. Not because bad things will stop happening, they won't, but because you'll learn how to face them with a calm, powerful presence that cannot be shaken. So let's begin this journey toward becoming truly unshakable. Lesson 1. Anchor yourself in the present moment. To be unshakable, you must first learn to fully live in the only time that truly exists, the present. In Buddhist teachings, much of our suffering doesn't come from what's happening right now, but from the stories our minds create about the past or the future. The past traps us in regret, guilt, or nostalgia. The future pulls us into anxiety, fear, and endless what-ifs. Meanwhile, the present, the only place where life is actually happening, is so often ignored. Picture yourself standing on a bridge over a flowing river. Behind you, the water that has already passed represents the past. Ahead of you, the rushing current symbolizes the future. But you can't step into either one. The only place your feet can truly rest is right here on the bridge, in this very moment. And yet, most of us spend our lives staring upstream or downstream, missing the water flowing directly beneath us. Even while washing dishes, your mind might still be replaying an argument from yesterday or worrying about tomorrow's meeting. That's how we miss life itself, by forgetting to live in the moment. But if instead you turn your attention to the warm water on your hands, the texture of the sponge, and the soft sound of bubbles popping, suddenly you are here. This is where peace lives. When your mind is anchored in the present, the outside world loses much of its power over you. Criticism. It becomes nothing more than sound waves hitting your ears, not a chain dragging you into a painful story. Fear of the future. Just passing thoughts, not the reality of this very moment. So how can you train yourself to stay grounded in the now? Here are 3 simple practices. First, sensory grounding. Think of this as your emergency reset button. When your mind starts racing, pause and try this exercise. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This quick reset brings your awareness back to the present instantly. Second breath. Focus. Close your eyes for just 2 minutes and notice your breath. Feel the rise and fall. When your thoughts wander, and they will gently guide them back to your breathing. No judgment, no frustration, just returning again and again. Third, mindful pauses. Before starting a new task, like answering the phone, checking your email, or walking into a meeting, pause for 1 slow, intentional breath. That single breath may seem small, but it creates a powerful shift in keeping you anchored. There's a story about a sculptor famous for creating statues so lifelike they seemed to breathe. One day, an apprentice asked him, "Master, what's your secret? How do you make the clay feel so alive?" The sculptor, without looking up, replied, "When I hold the clay, I feel only the clay. When I carve, I see only the form emerging. My hands, my eyes, and my mind are all devoted to this one thing." The apprentice, still puzzled, said, "But isn't that what everyone does?" The sculptor smiled and answered, "No. Most people's hands are on the clay, but their minds are already admiring the finished statue." This story captures the heart of mindfulness, the Buddhist teaching of living fully in the present moment. It shows us that real peace and true mastery don't come from doing something complicated. They come from bringing your full awareness into whatever you're doing. Whether it's eating, walking, or creating presence is the key. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The more you root yourself in the now, the more life's storms pass over you, like drifting clouds, visible, yes, but powerless to uproot you. Lesson 2. Master the art of letting go. If anchoring in the present is the first pillar of becoming unshakable, learning to let go is the second. The Buddha taught that clinging, holding on tightly to things, people, ideas, or even our pain, is one of the deepest causes of human suffering. Why? Because everything changes. When we clutch too tightly to something impermanent, the moment it shifts or slips away, we feel crushed. Imagine holding a fistful of sand. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes, grinding painfully against your skin. But when you open your hand, the sand rests gently until it's time to let it go. And we cling to more than just objects. We cling to identities. This is who I am. To roles, I must always be seen as successful. To relationships, to opinions, even to old grudges. Sometimes we hold on to resentment because letting go feels like losing control or admitting defeat. But here's the truth. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is choosing freedom over endless struggle. Think of it this way. Someone leaves a nasty comment about you online. You can grip it tight, replay the words again and again, build a whole story around what they meant, and even fantasize about the perfect comeback. That's like holding a burning coal in your bare hand. The longer you clutch it, the more it scorches you. Or you can acknowledge the sting, notice it, and then set it down. That's letting go. And when you stop clinging to what you cannot control, life becomes far less threatening. You no longer need reality to perfectly match your expectations in order to feel at peace. So how can you practice letting go? First, visual release. Write down a frustration or regret on a piece of paper. Read it out loud, then tear it up or safely burn it. As you watch the paper disappear, imagine that burden dissolving with it. This simple ritual makes an emotional act feel tangible, physical, and complete. Each day, practice. Letting go of something small, a petty grudge, an object you don't need, or even a thought that no longer serves you. Think of it as daily training for your mind, slowly strengthening your letting go muscle over time. Third, observe impermanence. Look closely at the world around you. Watch a candle burn until it disappears. Notice how a flower blossoms in beauty, then eventually wilts and fades. These are not sad events. They are gentle reminders that everything changes. Nature shows us constantly change isn't the exception, it's the rule. And that is one of the most powerful lessons in letting go. There's an old story of two monks traveling through a forest. They came upon a river swollen and dangerous from the rains. At the riverbank stood a young woman afraid to cross the muddy waters. Without hesitation, the elder monk lifted her into his arms, carried her safely across, and gently set her down on the other side before continuing his journey. The younger monk followed silently, but inside he was disturbed. Hours later, unable to contain himself, he finally asked, his voice sharp with judgment, "Why did you carry her? We are forbidden to even touch women." The elder monk turned, smiled, and replied softly, "I put her down by the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This simple yet profound story is a masterclass in letting go. The younger monk clung to judgment and frustration, creating his own suffering. The elder monk, on the other hand, acted with compassion in the moment, and then released the burden completely. It's a powerful reminder that true freedom comes not from avoiding life, but from refusing to carry unnecessary weight long after the moment has passed. As the Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." Letting go doesn't mean losing everything. It means you stop being enslaved by what was never yours to hold forever. Lesson 3. Choose response over reaction. The third key to becoming unshakable is learning how to master your emotional steering wheel. Most people allow circumstances to dictate their mood. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and instantly rage takes over. A coworker gives you praise, and suddenly you're elated until the next criticism sends you crashing down. Living like this, tossed back and forth by every compliment and insult, makes you fragile. Buddhism invites us to practice a different way. Respond, don't react. Here's the difference. Reaction is automatic. It's driven by habit ego or raw emotion. Response, on the other hand, is deliberate. It's guided by awareness and intention. Think of it like this. A single match falls into a dry forest. Reaction is letting the fire spread wildly. Anger, panic, or reckless words. Response is pausing, noticing the spark, and choosing how to contain it before it becomes a raging wildfire. If you can pause between stimulus and action, you gain the power to choose. You can act in line with your values, not just your temporary emotions. And that is true strength. Here's a practical example. A friend forgets your birthday. Reaction. You explode in anger, sulk in silence, or throw out a passive-aggressive remark. Response. You take a breath. Remember, they may be overwhelmed or distracted, and then calmly decide, do you want to mention it, or simply let it go? So how do you train yourself to respond instead of react? First, the sacred pause. When you feel triggered, mentally press pause. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. This tiny space rewires your brain, giving you the power to think instead of automatically reacting. Second, name the emotion. Instead of drowning in the feeling, just label it. Silently say, "This is anger," or "This is frustration." Naming it creates distance. It reminds you that you are not the emotion, and that separation weakens its hold over you. Third, ask the one-year question. Before you respond, ask yourself, will this really matter 1 year from now? If the answer is no, it likely doesn't deserve your energy today. There's a story of a man who came to the Buddha, his face twisted with anger after being deeply insulted. He asked, "Master, I have been terribly offended. What should I do? How do I respond to such venom?" The Buddha listened quietly, then asked him, "If someone offers you a gift, and you choose not to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man thought for a moment before answering, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The Buddha smiled gently. "Then understand this," he said. "Anger, insults, and hatred are all just gifts. If you choose not to accept them, they remain with the one who offered them." This story offers a profound lesson on emotional mastery and the freedom of non-attachment. The Buddha reminds us that anger and insults are never forced upon us. They are like packages we can either accept or refuse. When we choose not to take in the negativity, we protect our inner peace. We stop fueling the cycle of reactivity. Instead, we stay calm, steady, and centered. It's a reminder that our happiness doesn't belong to anyone else's words. It's always in our own hands. As the Buddha once said, "A mind unruffled by the vagaries of fortune, freed from sorrow, cleansed of defilements, liberated from fear, that is the greatest blessing." When you choose response over reaction, you stop being a puppet controlled by every pull of emotion. Instead, you hold the strings of your own mind. Lesson 4. Cultivate inner strength through mindful discipline. Becoming unshakable requires more than simply observing your thoughts. It requires strength, not the strength of muscle, but the strength of mind. The kind of inner resilience that allows you to remain steady when life pushes against you. In Buddhism, this is called sila, ethical conduct, joined with self-discipline. It is the consistent choice to act in ways that nurture peace, clarity, and wisdom. Every small act of self-control becomes like a brick building resilience, piece by piece. Think of your mind as a tree. Left untended, it grows wild, its branches and brittle, easily broken by the storm. But with discipline, it's like pruning, watering, and deepening the roots. Over time, that tree grows strong enough to withstand storms that once would have toppled it. Practical examples. waking up early to meditate, even when you're tired, strengthens mental resilience. Choosing patience instead of irritation during small daily frustrations builds a steady habit of equanimity. Each of these moments is training, shaping your mind to stand firm when bigger storms come. Avoiding gossip or even negative self-talk reduces emotional turbulence that drains your energy. Life will inevitably test you. Without inner strength, even small setbacks can feel crushing. But when you cultivate mindful discipline, every challenge becomes manageable. You stop being tossed around by the unpredictable winds of fortune. How to practice. First, daily. Micro practices. Start with one small commitment. 5 minutes of morning meditation, a short mindful walk, or a few lines of journaling. The goal isn't intensity, it's consistency. Second, emotional check-ins. Pause throughout the day and ask yourself, am I reacting out of habit or am I acting with awareness? This simple question rewires the mind toward conscious living. Third, ethical alignment. Notice when your actions cause harm to yourself or others and choose differently. Even small course corrections reinforce your foundation of inner strength. There's a story of a student who once asked a Zen master, "How do I face my fears?" The master gave no answer. Instead, he handed the student a cup filled to the brim with water and said, "Carry this, and do not spill a single drop." Hours passed as the student walked completely focused on keeping the water steady. At first, his hands shook, but with time, they grew steady, and the surface of the water became calm. Finally, the master spoke. "Your mind is like this cup. When it is full and balanced, there is no room for fear to enter." True strength is not about fighting fear. It's about mastering the vessel that holds your mind. As the Buddha said, "One is not called noble who harms living beings. One is called noble who does no harm." Inner strength is quiet. It builds slowly, patiently, day by day, until nothing outside can shake your calm. That is the power of discipline. Lesson 5. Practice compassion without attachment. This one may surprise you. To be truly unshakable, you must learn to care deeply, but not cling. In Buddhism, this is called karuna, or compassionate action. True compassion flows freely when the heart is steady, but it loses its purity when it becomes tangled with attachment or expectation. Unshakable people give love and kindness without demanding recognition, control, or anything in return. Imagine a lamp in a dark room. Its light naturally illuminates everything around it. But notice, this lamp doesn't demand gratitude. It shines because shining is its very nature, not because it seeks approval. That is compassion without attachment. Practical examples: helping a colleague without expecting them to return the favor. Listening to a friend in pain without rushing to fix them. Offering patience and understanding to someone who irritates you without needing them to change. Attachment always breeds disappointment. When we cling to people or outcomes, we give our happiness away to things outside our control. But compassion without attachment makes us resilient. It allows us to care deeply while remaining centered. So how do you practice this first set intention? Before you interact with anyone, pause and silently say to yourself, "May I bring ease and understanding." This small shift in thought changes your entire approach. Second, detach from results. Notice when you're secretly hoping for a thank you praise or a specific outcome. The very moment you release that need, your kindness becomes pure. Third, expand awareness. Send goodwill not only to your friends, but also to strangers, to difficult people, and perhaps most importantly, to yourself. Compassion isn't about being perfect. It's about strengthening your compassion muscle day by day. There's a story of a monk who once rescued a drowning bird and set it free. A disciple asked him, "Did you hope it would come back to you?" The monk smiled. "I only hope it flies safely. My happiness is not tied to its path." As the Buddha taught, radiate boundless love towards the entire world. When compassion flows freely without strings attached, you uplift others without losing your own balance. Your heart remains open, your spirit remains steady, and you become truly unshakable. Lesson 6. See reality clearly. The final rule is all about perception. To be unshakable, you must see things as they really are. Buddhism calls this vipassana, or insight meditation. It's the practice of developing deep clarity, seeing impermanence, understanding suffering, and recognizing the truth of non-self in every experience. Most of our suffering is born from distorted perception, believing things are permanent, assuming we can control everything, or expecting life to always be fair. Life is like looking at a painting through fogged glass. At first, the shapes may appear harsh or threatening, but when the glass clears, what you see is beauty balance and forms that are always shifting. Meditation is what clears that glass. Practical example. When you feel disappointment, ask yourself, Which part of this is truly permanent, and which part is just perception? Instead of saying, I am angry or I am sad, try saying, I notice anger arising or I am experiencing sadness. This small shift in language creates a powerful gap between you and the emotion. It reminds you that you are not the feeling itself. It's only a temporary state passing through. Reflect on impermanence. Flowers bloom, then wither. Seasons change. People leave. Situations evolve. This isn't a depressing thought. It's liberating. It reminds you that every discomfort, like everything else, will also pass. When you truly understand change, you stop clinging to what is fleeting. Highs and lows no longer control you. Instead of reacting with fear or craving, you act with wisdom. How to practice seeing reality clearly. 1. Daily reflection. Spend 5 minutes each evening reviewing the day. What brought peace? What caused suffering? Where did your perception distort reality? 2. Meditative observation. Sit quietly and simply watch your thoughts arise and fade, noticing their impermanence. 3. Contemplate impermanence. Remind yourself that every joy and every challenge is temporary. There's a story of a young disciple who came to his master troubled by endless doubts and fears. Master, he said, my thoughts are like a storm. How do I stop them? The master picked up a small stone and dropped it into a still pond. Do you see the ripples? He asked. Yes, the disciple replied, but another ripple will always follow. The master smiled. Yes, they will. But you are not the ripples. You are the pond itself, vast deep and still beneath the surface. Thoughts come and go, but you remain. Just be the pond. As the Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. Seeing reality clearly is the foundation of unshakable calm. It allows you to act wisely, love freely, and stand steady no matter what life brings. Let's step back and see the full picture. Becoming unshakable is not about avoiding life's storms. It's about training your mind to face them with awareness, wisdom, and inner strength. We've explored 6 timeless rules, and each one is a stepping stone. Together, they form a path to inner stability that cannot be shaken by praise or criticism, gain or loss, joy or pain. Your mind is your anchor. Your awareness is your fortress. And with patience and practice, your inner peace becomes unbreakable. Start small. Start today. Pick just one rule, maybe anchoring yourself in the present for 5 minutes, and build from there. Each small practice is like planting seeds in fertile soil. With time, storms may rage, but your inner garden will grow strong, lush, and unshakable. As the Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. If these lessons resonate with you, join our growing community of mindful learners. Like this video, subscribe for more wisdom, and share these teachings with someone who may need a steadying hand. Together, we can navigate life with calm strength and clarity.